I never thought I'd become an internet sensation at 70, just because my daughter-in-law slammed my head against a wall, right at my son's wedding. I can still hear that crack echoing through the grand hall, hundreds of people frozen in shock. And then that video hit 50 million views overnight. If you think the deepest wounds are only on the skin, you should hear what happened next. Hit subscribe and tell me where you're listening from, because what I'm about to share, you won't believe. I stood in the corner of the hall, tucked between marble pillars lined with LED lights, watching my son step out into the sea of flashing cameras. The wedding of Nathan Callahan. My only son was held in the grand ballroom of the Aurora Hall, Hong Kong, a place so luxurious that each crystal hanging from the ceiling probably cost what I used to earn in a month as an engineer. I didn't know whether to feel proud or afraid. Everything here was too bright, too polished, too televised. Ever since Serena the bride came into Nathan's life, the wedding stopped being a ceremony. It became a global live show. At 70, I thought I'd seen it all. But I was wrong. Nothing could have prepared me to watch my son marry a woman whose every glance whispered calculation. Serena always knew how to charm a crowd flawless face, half-true smile, and the way she called me Dad like she was reading a script. I'd come 2 hours early not to enjoy the party, but to observe. Tables draped in silver-white cloth, a 10-meter LED stage camera sweeping automatically across the room. I counted at least 4 streaming live on Exostream. A monitor offstage showed the live view count ticking up. They weren't hiding it. This wasn't a wedding, it was a production. When the MC took the stage, my throat felt dry. I looked around. Barely saw any family. Just business partners, investors, people there to be seen on camera. I quietly sat down, gripping a glass of water. I've never liked alcohol. Not since I lost my wife. Nathan spotted me from across the hall and smiled. That smile I used to love it so much. But tonight it felt distant, rehearsed like the smile of someone trained to know exactly when to emote. Serena squeezed his hand and bowed to the guests in the spotlight. She looked every bit the perfect bride playing her part. Then the MC announced a special gift from the groom's family. I caught Serena's eyes lowering, the corners of her lips curving into a small, knowing smile, one I'd never seen on a real person. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC continued. Today we celebrate not only love, but a sacred gift. Mr. Henry Callahan, the groom's honorable father, has decided to present the Solace Hill estate to the young couple. Applause exploded. Flashlights burst. I felt the blood drain from my face. Solace Hill, the house I'd rebuilt from ashes over 10 long years, the last place that still carried Evelyn's memory, my late wife. No one had the right to give it away. I stood up slow but steady. Hundreds of cameras turned my way as I spoke just 2 words, not hers. The entire hall froze. The music stopped mid-note. My mic echoed through the silence. Serena turned toward me, that same soft, flawless face, but her eyes flashed cold steel. "You're mistaken," she said gently, every word sharp as a blade. "Your son agreed. It's a gift from the family." "No," I said. "That house is mine. I built it with my own hands." No one noise surged. Guests started filming, streaming, commenting live. The MC forced a smile, mumbling something about a small misunderstanding. But Serena didn't back off. She stepped toward me, heels striking the marble floor like gunshots. Her smile stayed, but her eyes turned to ice. "You're ruining your son's big day," she hissed softly. "Don't forget the cameras are on." Then she did something no one expected. Before I could react, Serena shoved me hard. My shoulder slammed against the marble column with a sound that cracked through the hall. The world tilted. I fell head-ringing, lights bursting across my vision. Screams. Shouts. Oh my God, what did she do? Did anyone get that call, an ambulance? Voices blurred into a storm. I heard Nathan shouting my name, though I couldn't tell if it was out of fear or because the cameras were still rolling. When I lifted my head, I saw them. Hundreds of lenses still aimed at me, red lights blinking, And in that moment, I understood that crash didn't just crack the wall. It shattered the illusion they had built around us. When I woke up in the hospital that night, the smell of disinfectant mixed with the beeping of the heart monitor, reminding me I was still alive even though half of me had already died. The hit didn't kill me, but it broke open a flood of memories. Solace Hill, the house I spent the last 10 years of my life rebuilding from the ruins of the past. They said I had a mild concussion, that my memory might be temporarily disoriented. But no. I remembered everything. Every brick, every hammer strike, every drop of sweat that fell from my face. I remembered Evelyn, my wife, who died in the collapse of an old construction site when I was still chief architect. The building came down in less than 4 minutes, but it buried my whole world. After her funeral, I quit, left the world of design behind. I took out the old blueprint of the home we once dreamed of building together, and started over alone. Solace Hill wasn't a project. It was a tomb for the memories I could never bury. I lived among rubble-ate instant noodles, slept on cold cement floors, and rebuilt every wall with my own hands. No help, no loans. I just wanted to create a space where Evelyn still existed in the wind, through the windows and the scent of new wood, in the reflection of the lake at sunset. Nathan was barely in his 20s then. He didn't understand. To him, his father was just a broken old man clinging to the past. When I said, "Son, help me paint the walls," he told me, "Dad, you need to learn to live in the present." And then, he left. I didn't blame him. Being a father isn't about holding on. It's about watching your child walk away and praying they'll find their way back someday. But then Serena came along. She brought Nathan everything I never could: connections, fame, the spotlight. Her family ran one of the largest media corporations specializing in reality shows. Within months, Nathan became a young entrepreneur, and Serena was crowned the power bride of the century. I still remember the first time she visited our home. Serena hugged me smiling, but her eyes were already scanning the room, measuring camera angles. She said, "I heard you used to be a famous architect. You must understand how valuable a beautiful house can be for media." I told her quietly, "It's not a beautiful house. It's my house." She smiled, that soft, practiced smile. "Even better," she said, "I'll make sure the whole world sees it." I didn't understand what she meant, not until I saw her film crew show up at Solace Hill with drones and scripts. They built mock stages for the wedding, hung lights along the hallways, moved the furniture I'd arranged over years. Evelyn had once placed a small photo by the window. They called it a light obstruction, and moved it without asking. I remember asking them to stop. Serena just said, "Don't worry, you'll be proud when this house is on television. Millions will know your work." I replied, "My work ended when she died. What's left isn't for show." She smiled again, smooth and cold as glass. "Then let me help you bring it back to life." I didn't know that what she meant by "bring it back" was erasing me from it completely. 3 weeks before the wedding, Nathan came to see me. He said Serena wanted to hold the ceremony at Solace Hill. I refused. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Dad, please don't make this hard. Serena already signed the promotional contract." Contract. That word made me laugh, the kind of laugh that hurts. So that's what love, memory, and home had become. A marketing deal. That night I left Solace Hill carrying a small wooden box, Evelyn's ashes, inside. I didn't know what they would do to the house. I only hoped they'd leave the wall where I'd carved our names. But when I walked into the Aurora Hall on the wedding day, I saw Evelyn's photo replaced with a glowing logo: Callahan Wedding, sponsored by Extreme Live. That's when I understood. They hadn't just taken the house. They'd stolen the last piece of my memory. And that's why when the MC announced a special gift from the groom's father, I stood up. Not out of pride, but because I knew if I stayed silent this time, Solace Hill would no longer be where Evelyn rested. It would become a stage for people who never understood the most sacred thing we have left in life: memory. That morning, as the car drove me to the Aurora Hall, I still hoped I was wrong. Maybe Serena had misunderstood. Maybe Nathan would speak up. But the moment I stepped into the hall, that hope vanished. Everything was ready. The lights, the cameras, the script. On the giant LED screen hanging above the ballroom, glowing words read, "The wedding of the century. Live worldwide. Their Callahan love story." Below it, a countdown ticked away 2 minutes and 16 seconds, 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and hundreds of thousands of people were waiting to watch the most inspiring love story of the year. I couldn't understand why anyone needed dozens of cameras just to record two people saying "I do." Marriage isn't something you reshoot. But to Serena, everything was a performance. Nathan walked out from backstage in a white tuxedo. The lights made him look radiant, but to me he was still that boy who once held my hand while we walked the scaffolding together. I wanted to go to him. Tell him, "Son, all I want is for you to be happy, no cameras needed." But I stopped. Serena had stepped beside him. She looked like a queen, long gown, perfect smile, holding the mic without the slightest tremor. "We're live with more than 40,000 viewers around the world," she announced brightly. "Today, we're not just joining two hearts, but two generations through love, memory, and legacy." I felt a chill. The word legacy sounded ice cold coming from her mouth. When the MC took the stage, the ceremony moved to the special family gift segment. I was about to leave until I heard those three words, Solace Hill Mansion. The screen lit up with video shots of my home filmed from every angle, set to grand cinematic music. At the end, a caption rolled across, "A gift to Nathan and Serena Callahan, from a great father." My blood boiled. I had never signed anything, never agreed to give that house away. I tried to stand, but my legs felt nailed to the floor, until Serena stepped forward, bowed slightly, and said into the mic, "Thank you, Dad, for this wonderful gift. I promise to cherish it as our family's legacy." Applause thundered through the hall. That was when I shot to my feet, heart pounding like it would burst. "It's not hers," I shouted, voice rough, trembling, but clear. The sound echoed through the mic. The hall froze. Every camera turned toward me. Serena spun around, her smile fading. "You're mistaken," she said quietly. "Everything's already been agreed on." "No, I never agreed to that." "That house." Before I could finish, Serena signaled the band. The wedding music swelled, drowning out my words. But it was too late. Hundreds of guests had seen it. Some started filming. Others began live streaming. Serena walked toward me, whispering through her fixed smile, "You're ruining your son's wedding, old man. The cameras are still rolling. Be careful." I looked around and saw it was true. Every lens was pointed straight at me. Millions of unseen eyes waiting to watch what the crazy old man would do next. Then everything happened too fast. I don't remember who touched who first, only that Serena stepped closer, her hand landing on my shoulder, and pushed. My head hit the marble pillar with a sound so sharp it silenced the room. I fell, blood soaked through the collar of my white shirt. Through the chaos, I heard Nathan scream, "Serena, what did you do?" Then someone shouted, "We're live, cut the feed." But no one cut it. No one moved fast enough. 10 seconds later, the image of me lying motionless on the marble floor streamed live to tens of thousands of viewers, and 10 hours later, that video hit 50 million views. Headlines exploded everywhere. "Wedding disaster of the century." "Bride shoves father-in-law on live stream." "The Callahan family drama." "The truth behind the slam." I lay in the hospital, head wrapped in bandages, listening to doctors talk about mild brain trauma, but I felt no pain, just an emptiness in my chest. People said I was famous now. Some called me a symbol of the old generation being pushed aside. Others mocked me, said I acted better than a movie star, but I didn't care. The only thing that haunted me was why the camera never turned off, who kept it running, and who really wanted the whole world to see that moment. I didn't know then that from that single instant, a darker secret was waiting to surface, and that blow to my head was only the beginning of everything. They say when you're hit in the head, you forget things. But for me, every blow only makes the memories sharper. I remember Serena's scream, the blinding white lights on the ceiling, and Nathan's terrified face caught between helping me or blocking the camera. 3 days later, I was discharged. By then, the whole world knew the name Henry Callahan. News outlets, talk shows, thousands of social media posts. They called me many things. The father attacked by his daughter-in-law in the wedding of the century, the victim of the digital age. But through all those headlines, I heard only one thing: 50 million views. They measured my pain in numbers. Nathan came to visit. He looked exhausted. He sat down beside my bed, silent for a while, then said, "Dad, the media's gone too far." Serena's in shock too. I looked at him, trying to see if there was any trace of conscience left. "Are you afraid of the media, Nathan? Or of the truth?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just lowered his head and whispered, "Everything's out of control now, Dad." I smiled faintly. "No, Nathan. Everything's just beginning." That afternoon after he left, I received a message. No number. Just a link. A short line of text. "You should see this." I don't think you've watched the whole ceremony. I opened it. It was a backstage video, shaky and unedited, shot on a phone. No sound effects, no filters, just raw footage. In it, Serena stood beside the MC and a man in a gray suit. She handed them a thick envelope and said clearly enough to hear, "Make sure the gift from the father line goes exactly by the script. The cameras will catch his reaction. Don't cut." I froze the video. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. She hadn't just pushed me. She staged everything. I played it again. At second 23, Nathan stepped into the frame, his face hesitant. Serena touched his shoulder, smiled, and whispered something. I zoomed in, read her lips. 2 words. "Trust me." Another message arrived a few minutes later. "If you want to know who filmed this, come to Solace Hill at midnight. I'll be there." I wasn't afraid. At my age, I had nothing left to lose. So I went. The house was dark except for a faint light in my old study. The door wasn't locked. Inside sat a young man with a nervous look, wearing an Extreme employee badge. "My name's Mark," he said. "I was the live stream tech for the wedding." He opened his laptop and showed me the broadcast console. "That ceremony wasn't just live," he said. "It was pre-scripted and directed from Serena's private control room. She ordered us not to cut the feed no matter what happened." I went cold. She knew it would happen. Mark nodded. Not new. Planned. He scrubbed through the footage timeline and played a hidden mic recording. Serena's voice came through calm and sharp. "Don't cut. Let them see his true face." My whole body went numb. In her eyes, I was never a person, just a prop. A final act in her perfectly crafted drama. That blow to my head wasn't an accident. It was her finale. I asked him, "Why are you helping me?" Mark looked down. "They fired me when I refused to edit the clip to make you look crazy. They wanted to turn you into a villain." I took his hand. "Then help me tell it right." Together we sent everything to the lawyer, the backstage footage, the recordings, the director's contract. All of it proved the wedding was staged to steal Solace Hill. When the evidence leaked, the internet exploded again, but this time no one was laughing. The hashtag, "Your Justice for Henry," spread like wildfire. Millions shared it, demanding an investigation. Serena shut down her accounts. Nathan vanished from the media. Exestreme's stock collapsed overnight. I watched the headlines fill the screen. Felt no joy, no victory. Just one truth settling deep inside me: justice never comes quickly. But when it does, it breaks everything open. That blow might have knocked me down, but it also woke the world up from its dream of perfect families. And I know now, this fight isn't over yet. I still remember that night when the story broke across every news channel. Comments flooded in like a storm, Serena under investigation. The truth behind the 50 million view wedding, Henry Callahan, the father who wouldn't bow down. But I didn't feel triumphant. Just tired. At 70, I didn't need to win. I just wanted my memories to be put back where they belonged. My lawyer, a young woman named Amelia Drake, told me we had enough evidence to take it to court. You can reclaim Solace Hill, she said, and sue for defamation and emotional damages. I looked at the small photo of Evelyn in my wallet and smiled. I don't want their money, I said softly. I just want the truth returned. The trial began 3 months later. Outside the courthouse, hundreds gathered with signs that read, "Chuck Justice for Henry." Strangers I'd never met told reporters they saw their own parents in me, that my story made them look at their families differently. I never imagined my pain could make people reflect on their own love and silence. Serena arrived in a black dress, no trace of that dazzling smile. She avoided the cameras, her eyes sunk in her hands, trembling as she placed them on the courtroom table. Nathan sat beside her, unable to meet my eyes. I didn't hate him. I only felt sorry. Sorry for a son whose ambition had blinded him to his own light. When the backstage video played, the courtroom went silent. Serena's voice echoed through the speakers, cold and clear. Don't cut the feed. Let them see his true face. No one spoke. Even the judge's gavel couldn't break the weight of that moment, because everyone knew there was nothing left to defend. After 2 days, the verdict came. Serena was charged with assault and fraud. Nathan wasn't convicted, but he lost all inheritance rights. And me, I officially reclaimed Solace Hill. When the doors closed behind us, Nathan ran after me. "Dad," he called. "I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far." I turned to him and said quietly, "It's not your fault for trusting the wrong person. But if you don't learn to face the truth, you'll spend your life living in someone else's script." He nodded, tears in his eyes, but I didn't turn back. There was nothing more to say to the past. 3 months later, I returned to Solace Hill. The mansion that once glowed with stage lights was now still and quiet, the wind whispering through the shutters. When I pushed open the old wooden door, the hinges groaned a sound that felt like an old friend welcoming me home. Everything was the same, except me. I didn't want to keep Solace Hill just for myself anymore. I opened a program called the Memory Workshop, a place for the elderly to tell their life stories through painting, music, or handwritten journals. I wanted them to understand memories aren't meant to be hidden, and they should never be stolen. On opening day, hundreds came, some from far away, some who wrote to say that the video gave them courage to walk away from controlled lives. I looked at their faces and saw my own reflection, people who had once been forced into silence. That evening, after everyone left, I sat alone in the room where Evelyn's bookshelf once stood. I placed her photo back by the window that looked out to the lake. Sunlight poured through the glass, turning the dust into tiny, glittering sparks. I turned on the camera, no lights, no editing, no script. Just me, an old man once misunderstood by the world. "I used to think that blow ended my life," I said slowly. "But it only woke up the part of me I'd forgotten, the part that still believes in truth." I paused, smiled gently, and added, "If anyone's ever made you doubt your own story, remember this. The truth doesn't need a stage. It only needs your voice." I turned off the camera. Outside, Solace Hill glowed softly. No cheers, no applause, just the warm light spilling through the windows, illuminating the wall where Evelyn and I once carved a small line. Home isn't where you live, it's where you're believed. And this time, I knew the story had truly ended exactly the way I chose to tell it. If you've watched until now, thank you for staying with me till the very end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next story might be yours.